My, what a desolate place this is. And that's because just over those mountains right there in the distance is actually Death Valley, one of the hottest, driest places on Earth. But as much as I love visiting Death Valley, even in June, that's not why I'm here today. I've seen a lot of sights out by Death Valley, but today I've brought my friends out to the desert to see something I've never seen before. Look at this. Check this out. Do you know what this is? You might be tempted to think that this doorway carved into the side of this stubby little cliff is the entrance to a mine. But this whole gulch is littered with doors just like these, because these weren't mines. These doorways actually lead to people's homes. That's right. Just out here on the edge of the town of Shoshone, out near Death Valley, miners were living underground. As you can see from the barren hillsides out here, there weren't a lot of options for cheap lumber, so the miners used what they had and carved their homes into the faces of these little cliffs in this gulch here. This way you could stay out of the oppressive desert heat, just like Oscar's trying to do with his Johnny Depp hat over here. But few people realize who don't live near deserts that the desert can also be freezing cold in the winter, so this was also a way of staying warm. You can see in some areas they've used old rocks, maybe a little concrete to patch up some of the cracks here, and most of these have been boarded up to keep trespassers out from vandalizing it, destroying it, you know, starting fires in there, doing what teenagers do. But there's still just enough holes to get a peek into history, the way these miners came out and scratched out a living, literally, any way that they could. You know what the crazy thing is? People were still living in these caves out here near Death Valley until the 1970s, man. You had a bunch of hippies fleeing from the man out here, dropping out, living off the grid. Pretty cool, man. That's a way to lower your overhead every month. Just live in a cave, right, George? George is a little cranky that I took him somewhere warm. It's about 105 degrees out here right now. Wow, look at this one. You can see some metal remains there. You can see what's left of a wooden floor. And on the outside here, above this door, they even have an old transom window. That's what those windows are called. On top of the door, George, an old transom window. Still mad that I made you walk out here in 105 degrees?
Well, I'm kind of mad that you didn't tell me we had to do it until 5 minutes beforehand.
If I didn't do that, you wouldn't have come.
Probably not.
Now, the technical term for somebody living underground, which technically you are because, you know, there's dirt up there, is a troglodyte. So technically these are troglodyte houses. That's amazing. I've known that these troglodyte dwellings have been out here near Shoshone on the way to Death Valley for a long time. But it wasn't until we were driving up on this visit and I was looking out for them that I actually saw the chimney pipes sticking up from the highway way down there. See, they actually had full-on chimney and stovepipes sticking up out of their earthen dwellings so that it wouldn't fill up with campfire smoke or stove smoke. Pretty ingenious. And as you can imagine, living hours and hours away from civilization, they ate a lot of canned food out here. Canned food, canned fuel, even canned water, because back before your plastic Fiji water bottles, they used cans. A lot of much more modern beer cans and beer bottles out here too. Whoa! Nearby to these homes, I've actually seen 4 or 5 of these weird little can deposits where people basically threw all their trash and whatever was organic rotted away and just left behind the rusty metal. You know, for off-the-grid hippies, they weren't very environmentally conscious, huh? Wow! Now this wash we're in is called Dublin Gulch, and most people refer to these as the Dublin Gulch dugouts, but I like Shoshone Troglodyte houses. Technically, this is all private property. The whole town is, I think, owned by just one person, but luckily, they really appreciate the local history, so that even though it's privately owned, curiosity seekers like us are still allowed to come out here and respectfully take a peek, which is pretty cool. Wow, look at the work some of these guys put into these houses, huh? Check out that stone wall right there. How long did that take to create? Out here in the blaring desert sun. Oh wow, part of this roof right here was created by some hard labor out here. And if you look inside, it almost looks like you're going inside of a mine shaft. That must have been somebody's front hallway, huh? Crazy. Check this out. Somebody's old metal cabinet has been left out here to rust away. A lot of hooks and objects, art in there. Pretty crazy. You'll see a lot of those out in the desert. That was probably a big couch cushion, I'm guessing, just from the shape of it, but there's a lot of old mattress springs out here like that too. The rest of the mattress or cushion completely rotted away, just leaving the metal skeleton. A very few of these are open for one reason or another. I don't know if someone broke the door or what. I'm being very careful not to touch the walls, the ceiling, anything. But you could see in here the way this was full on, just carved out of the side of the hill. That's pretty crazy. What do you think about that, George?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty mind-blowing. It's actually literally cool in here. It's like a lot nicer in here than it is out in the sun.
I'd rather risk the scorpion sting than stand under the sun any longer.
Scorpion sting. Hard to see, but if you look up in that crevice up there, you can just barely make out one of the old stovepipe chimneys. Wild. Imagine moving all the way out here to work in a dark, dingy, dangerous mine. A lot of guys came out here because they thought they'd get an opportunity to do a little prospecting, maybe find their own rich stuff out here, and then just ended up living out here underground as paid laborers working in mines nearby or trying to prospect. Now the part of this that you're not feeling through your television or other viewing device is that it's so hot out here, it's burning up through the soles of your feet. Just the ambient air temperature feels like you open an oven and it's blasting in your face nonstop. It's pretty hot. And it's dry as a bone. No trees are gonna grow out here. No ornamental lawns are gonna be grown out in front of this palace. This is the kind of place I always imagine Jawas or sand people living in. Whoa, look in there, Oscar. This one's open. We'll have to investigate very respectfully and carefully and watching for all that rat dung right there, which could contain the hantavirus. Okay, maybe not. I should mention this as a safety precaution because I always go out to the desert and you guys are watching me, a lot of kids are watching me, like, I want to go out to those desert places. If you see rat droppings or mouse droppings or urine anywhere, don't disturb it because all the stuff can come up in the air. You can catch it and get hantavirus. So not a good idea to go sneaking around places like that without like some kind of ventilator, mask, something. Also, if we're gonna talk safety, be very careful where you step because there's a lot of rattlesnakes out here, a lot of rusty nails. Make sure you got your tetanus shot. Crazy that even in 2018 out here, there's no cell phone service. What is this, the Dark Ages? And by the way, even back in the 1970s, they were living a pretty primitive lifestyle out here. You see that? There's at least 7 or 8 houses out here that we've seen, and maybe there's more on the other sides, and they all shared this one outhouse. Whoa. And look at this. You can still get a glimpse of the old John even today. Hey, you know what? It's the first time I've opened an outhouse door in a long time that there wasn't a person in there. You gotta go potty, Oscar?
Yep.
Make sure you go before we leave. Watch out for rats, bats, scorpions, tarantulas, spiders, black widows. Oh, that was quick. Now that row of troglodyte houses may be old-timey miner dwellings, but look at this over here. Something a little more modern. Looks like one of those guys back in the 70s carved out a garage for his VW bus. Well, that's a pretty tall doorway over there, although it gets kind of shorter in the back. Maybe it was a VW Bug. This stuff is so soft. If you had a key, which I wouldn't do this, but if you could just scratch away the ceiling, and who knows how much it would bring down on you. So you gotta be careful in places like this. Pretty awesome, man. Pretty darn unusual. I gotta say, I don't think I've ever been in any troglodyte houses before, man. All right, we came, we saw, we troglodyted. Maybe it's time to head back to the car for a second, get in the AC. Whoa, look at that perfectly camouflaged lizard. Pretty darn cool. The 9th wonder of the desert, the Shoshone Troglodyte houses. All right, and now down to civilization. And boy, what a metropolis. Welcome everyone to Shoshone, California, or as some people pronounce it, Shoshone. Here you see the Charles Brown General Store and only gas station for miles and miles around. And right next door, somebody's office and the post office. A lot of shared space going on out here. Look at the sign for Charlie Brown. Huh? That is one cool mid-century piece of decor. I love signs like that. Love the fonts, love the architecture of it. Beautiful. Mwah. Then over across the street, that old building over there is the sheriff's substation. You got a restaurant, and then over here is the museum, gift shop, and visitor center. This whole town was created to capitalize on the nearby railroad running through here. They thought, I guess, that it would be a metropolis. And the railroad traffic and all the water may have dried up, but they still get a healthy dose of traffic visiting Death Valley, so that's why the visitor center. Wow, check out the remnants of this old filling station. Look at this set of wheels over here. Man, that would be cool if someone fixed that up, huh? Check out those old gas pumps. I just love that everything back in the day had so much style to it. All right, let's check out this museum. It's free. Just turn the light off when you leave. Whoa. Wow, so this building dates all the way back to 1909. John in the museum here was telling us that the person who owns the entire town and Dublin Gulch, where those dugouts were, is a descendant of the guy who actually started the whole town in the first place. Look at all that old mining equipment. A lot of people were out in this area in Shoshone and Tacoma next door, trying to make their fortune in the desert alongside the tracks of the Tonopah and Tidewater Railroad. Look at this old railroad freight scale over here and a bunch of old railroad lanterns. This is a pretty cool little museum here, especially considering that it's free. Oh, look at this woods nearby, they found mammoth bones. And I don't just mean big, I mean like, you know, like a full-on woolly mammoth. Well, at least I think so. There were a lot of different kinds of mammoths. Whoa, check out those mammoth tusks and the mammoth jaw over there. George, this mammoth was even bigger than you, buddy. You think you're big and strong? Try tangoing with a mammoth. George is still mad that he got all sweaty. Pretty cool that ancient North America, you know, prehistoric North America had its own version of camels, and they found tracks of them fossilized out in the desert. What's weird is they look an awful lot like Oscar's tracks, too. Pretty dang cool, man. The only thing better than a museum that costs $150 is a free museum, especially one with so much history just sitting out here. Look at all them historical wheelbarrows, fella. Don't I bring you out to have a good time? All right, time to hop in the car and head to the next town. Hope the air conditioning holds out. It's a long desert drive, but 25 miles later, you find yourself coming around the bend to Death Valley Junction. This is another one of those desert railroad watering holes. But along with the abandoned buildings here is something pretty awesome. Welcome to the Amargosa Hotel. This gigantic place was originally built in 1924 for and by the Pacific Coast Borax Company. Since the train came right here, they could ship out all that borax to parts unknown. There were offices and rooms here for employees of the company, and the miners could bunk up together two to a room over here on this long wing. But after World War II, this gigantic and honestly pretty regal adobe building was abandoned. Judging by the inside, this place was pretty nice back in the 1920s and 30s, you know, back in its heyday. And it seemed like it was doomed to be abandoned forever until in 1967, a performer and dancer and painter and model by the name of Marta Beckett and her husband broke down in Death Valley, came here to change their tire, peeked into this place, and bought the property. Wow, look at this, huh? This was pretty swanky for 1923, especially considering this was the middle of nowhere. Look at the hallway in here, huh? Getting some serious shining vibes. Come and play with us, Justin. Walking around through the hallways inside is quite a trip. If you look around in here closely, you can see that Marta was quite the painter. She's got all kinds of paintings on the walls. Looks like the gift shop is closed. This 12th wonder of the desert has survived nearly 100 years of weathering. And guests can actually still stay here to this very day. Surprisingly though, the Amargosa Hotel over here is a pretty recent development. When they bought the place, the hotel wasn't what she was interested in. It was this building over here in the corner. Originally known as Corker Hall, this building here on the corner was sort of the social center of the whole complex. But when Marta peeked her head in here, what she saw was a place for art. And that's when Corker Hall became the Amargosa Opera House. And if you think her paintings in the hotel were impressive, wait till you get a load of this. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. For just $5, they are giving us a tour of the Opera House. Look at this place. Just a year after purchasing the property in 1968, Marta Beckett opened up her own opera house, a place where she could perform one-woman shows, and perhaps most importantly, she could display her art. Right from the beginning, just in case no audience decided to show up, she made sure she would always have an amazing audience. Look at all of these faces, all hand-painted. It's amazing in here. I've seen pictures of this place, but I've never been here in person, and this is awesome. Marta Beckett performed her one-woman shows in here and danced for decade after decade after decade until she just recently passed away last year. All of this is still here, and it stands as an incredible legacy for one very artistic woman. The details in here are absolutely astounding. Everywhere you look, suddenly something new jumps out at you. I imagine it would take a lot of time to see it all. Even the details on the ceiling are amazing. Look up there. That is phenomenal. It's like being in an amazing historic church or something. It's mind-blowing. This is awesome. Just think of all the performances that happen on this stage. By the way, look up there. Those are coffee cans used as the lights. Very DIY. If we ever get a band together, we're playing a show here. I mean, how can you not? Look at that audience. See? Wasn't that amazing? Is it any wonder why it's one of the wonders of the desert? Dang, Oscar, what'd you think? Pretty cool?
Pretty cool.
You like taking the tour of that place?
Yeah.
Pretty sweet, man. All the paint. Wait a minute. where's George? He must have found some air conditioning. Anyway, that's the Amargosa Opera House. I've driven by many, many times, but that was the first time I've ever actually gone inside. Wait a minute. What's that across the street? I gotta go check this out. Whoa, now this is one building that they've really cleaned up, huh? Look at that, pristine. Looks like it's some sort of art installation or art gallery. Now, does that say lick or kill? Looks like they got locations in New York, Beverly Hills, Miami, and Las Vegas. I still can't decide what that logo says. But apparently through these windows they have art installations. And right now they've got some of Marta Beckett's stuff in here. Wow, you know, it's only very recently that Marta actually passed away. Just last year, I think. It goes without saying she was very popular with the locals. I mean, there aren't too many of them, so, you know, you had to be close with your neighbors. I wish I could have seen one of her one-woman shows. Some pretty elaborate costumes. Must have been quite a sight. All right, well, the shadows are getting long. It's still well over 100 degrees, so I think we better be heading a little bit further down the highway tonight, because we've got quite a few more adventures ahead of us. All right, we were driving along through the desert. We crossed the state line into Nevada, and suddenly, out of nowhere, there was this. Holy simoleons! It's the world's largest M80! Look at the size of that firecracker! It's gargantuan! Wow! Oh, it's not an M80, it's an M800, the world's largest firecracker, welcoming us to Nevada. Dude, I am not huge on firecrackers, but seeing this just makes me want to buy some. Oh, I see George is way ahead of me. Look at that. The world's largest firecracker. This is crazy. In the last 3 weeks, I've seen the world's largest chili pepper, the world's largest pistachio, and now this. I gotta say, unexpected giant firecracker is the best kind. And if that's not enough roadside weirdness for you, check this out. It's the Area 51 Alien Center. Area 51 is not too far away as the crow flies over those mountains, so of course they have to have an Area 51 themed gas station, complete with hand-painted alien signs, and my favorite thing of all, fun pics! Ooh la la! Ooh! Oscar, you have never looked better! These fun pics are out of this world! And the cool thing about this place is, this place has more Area 51 souvenirs than Area 51 itself did when I went a couple of years ago. Right from the cash register, you can see this place is awesome. They've got alien everything, alien tequila, alien vodka, Area 51 hats, Area 51 toilet paper, flags, inflatable aliens, George! Extraterrestrial ice. Look at this interplanetary art. Dude, that is amazing. That looks like one of those things you used to bounce on with the rubber ball in the center. Cool. So many t-shirts. Not to mention sweet posters. Uh-oh, watch out. Even Eminem can get a hat here. Alien socks, alien zippers, alien onesies. Put that in your cup and drink it. This is the part of the place that everybody loves. But there's also a controversial part of this place next door. But turns out this is not just a gas station. You don't want to go over to that side or else you might get probed. We'll stick to being in here with the plush aliens. You guys always wondered why I'm so weird. And now you know. These are my brothers, Tim and Todd. Just kidding, they're fake. Sign aliens, cup aliens, even annoying aliens. Well, guys, we tried to push on to the next town, but the shadows started getting a little too long. And I realized this video was starting to get a little too long too, so we're gonna drop you off here and pick you back up later for some more adventures. So make sure that you're subscribed and all that usual stuff people gotta say. Check down below for the merch, bro. We're out in the middle of nowhere for a reason, ladies and gents. We got some pretty exciting stuff coming up, so stay tuned. But for now, you've done your duty. You can go home and sleep well. If you're a gamer, make sure you got your Tetris shot too. Could come in handy. Hey Oscar, you excited about the next place we're going?
You know it.
You excited about it?
Mm-hmm.
A little scared?
A lot of scared.
Me too. They'll just have to wait and see what it is though. Goodbye!